Hi. In this video, we'll look at a very important model called the purchase model. So basically, the purchase basically refers to you purchasing something from your supplier. So if you go buy goods that you're going to use to stock your store, then that forms part of purchases. Under purchases, we are looking at three menu items. There's a new purchase, purchase list, and purchase return list. So let's check out the first one, the new purchase. Two things that you need to pay attention to here when it comes to entering your purchases. So if you go to any supplier, or if any supplier comes around to supply you, you have to pay attention to two things. The first one being the name, or the name of the supplier. So obviously you would have to go and create a supplier accounts first. So we've already spoken about suppliers and the suppliers model. If you haven't watched that video yet, just find a way to watch that video before you continue, because it's a prerequisite that you need in order to go about this one, the purchases. So you go to the suppliers, add a new supplier. Then when you come here, you can record, or you'll be able to select the supplier. So currently we have no records. If you haven't added a supplier yet, you can equally click on this to add a supplier. So you provide the details right here as you would have done in the suppliers model. Okay, so that is the first thing. Then the second thing to note is that all the products that you are receiving in a store should be registered products on the system. So basically, you should have registered the product on the system before coming here to enter it, because over here you are not allowed to enter new products. All you are going to do is the product is already registered in your system. So when you search for it, it will come up, and then you can sell the product that you already have on the system. Okay, so that's what is going to happen. If you are here to enter any product, let's assume the current supply that came, most of the products that you bought are actually new products that you haven't stocked before. So before you even come to purchase, to document all the purchases, go to your items, then add new items. So go there and add all the new items that has come. But in that part, because you are going to record, this is a caveat, so pay attention. Because you are going to record the amount that you bought, the amount of the goods that you bought for each supplier under their name. So that is why that's the essence of the purchase model. So that at the end of the day, we'll be able to tell that this supplier was the one who supplied me product A. And on this date, they supplied me 20 quantities of product A. For that reason, when you go to items and you are entering new items, you don't have to enter the quantity over there. So you can watch the video on the items model, and you realize that one of the key things we do there is to enter the quantities. But you are not forced to enter quantities, especially if it is a new purchase. So for new purchases, don't enter the quantities when you are you're adding a new item. But when you come to your purchases model, then you can add the new quantity. So let's go ahead. Once you've established your supplier name, or you've already registered a supplier, then all the items that you are going to receive into your store are duly registered on your system. Then we can go ahead and document all of the things that we bought under this specific supplier. So you will select the supplier, then you go ahead. So the status too, you can select whether you just ordered it, you are yet to receive, or you've received and is pending. So any of these you are allowed to. The purchase date too, you can edit it, and if there is any invoice number too, you can document the invoice number. Some other people prefer to also document the check number that they give, whatever that you want to document. There's also another note here that you can provide. There's a note here, so you can document as many things as you think is necessary to keep track of every transaction that you do, especially with your suppliers. So basically, after you've selected your supplier, set your date, your invoice number here, you come and one by one enter the products that you have gotten. So let's assume we've bought paracetamol. Let's assume this particular product is received. So you enter the name, then enter the quantity, how many. So let's assume we entered 100 of them. 100 of them. Then you enter the price at which you bought it. You're supposed to enter the price at which you bought it here. So that at the end of the day, for each supplier, we know exactly how much we bought the product from the supplier. Then if there was any discount that you had, you enter the discount here, and this will calculate the unit cost and the total amount automatically for you. When you are done, if there are any other charges or if they gave you discounts on all, you can equally enter them here. Then you come to the payment. Because you're allowed to buy goods on credit, this you enter the exact amount that you are paying them. Okay, so once you enter the exact amount you're paying them, you select whether you're paying with cash, card, mobile money, or check. Okay, then you document any other details. So the payment note, usually if you paid with check, you can document the check details here. When is the check supposed to be active, the check number, and all those other details that may be necessary. Then you can go ahead and save the purchase. All right, so after you save the purchase, you can then go to purchase list to see all the information about the various purchases that has been done. Okay, so on the dashboard here, it's giving us information about the current month that we are in. So for this particular month, the total invoices that you have purchased, that basically refers to how many times you've purchased things goes into your store this month. Then the total amount of goods that you've purchased into your store this month. Then we have the total returned amount. So if there were times that you purchased but you realized that you probably didn't need them, or something happened and you needed to return the goods back to the supplier, then that amount will be captured here. Then the total purchase due. So in the course of this month, so how much am I left to pay to my suppliers? That one will be documented here. And you get the details of all the transactions you've done in terms of purchases right here. So the purchase date, the various purchase dates, the purchase code, status, the reference number, supplier name, total, paid amount, then the amount due, then the payment status, and who added the purchase, as well as the actions that you can take on it. Then lastly, we can look at the purchase return list. So if there are goods that you returned, they will also be indicated here, and that these are the goods that you returned. So equally, when you come to the report aspect, you can see reports about your purchases. So we have the purchase reports right here. You realize this has been segregated according to the supplier's name. So you choose the supplier, you choose the duration or the interval within which you want to check the purchases, then you show. When you show, you get the invoice number, the purchase date, the supplier ID or supplier name, the total on that particular invoice, the amount that you paid, and how much you owe them will all be documented here. Then if there were returns too, you can do same with the returns. Then purchase payment. So this is basically recording the amount of money that you gave out. Okay, so it tells us the payment type, whether you paid using check, mobile money, or all other means that you use to pay. But you can also select the particular supplier and look for this information. Equally too, we have the supplier's payments, payment dates, the supplier name, the payment type, payment note, and the amount that you paid. All will be documented here. So these are basically reports about the purchases, and that is an overview of the purchase model. So we've come to an end of this model. I'll see you in the next video.